Spain just made history, and the whole world knows it. But what happened in the French locker room after the final whistle is the most brutal thing to hit a national team dressing room in this entire World Cup. Mbappé cannot believe it. Never in his career had he been knocked out in a World Cup playoff unbeaten in every World Cup he played in until today, until he ran into Spain. Faced Cubarsí, faced Lamine, faced Unai Simon, a squad that for 90 minutes made France look like a team with zero threat, with no answers for anything Spain threw at them. The best attack in the world, they say. 16 goals in 6 games, they say. Mbappé, Dembélé, Olise, impossible to stop, they say. 0 shots on target, 0 goals. Not a single moment where Unai Simon was forced to do anything other than calmly passing the ball around. And that is exactly what Spain did tonight to the most feared attack in the entire world. And inside the French locker room, behind closed doors, away from the cameras, 3 players were singled out. 3 names that, according to sources close to the French squad, Mbappé targeted with a rage his own teammates describe as the most intense they had seen in the entire tournament. It is not the anger of losing. Mbappé has lost before. It is the fury of knowing it could have been different. That 3 specific people let him down when it mattered most. Who are those 3 players? What did they do to make Mbappé snap like this? And what about the man who just a week ago claimed there was no anti-Yamal plan, only to be pulled off at halftime tonight to avoid a red card, specifically for the fouls he kept committing on Yamal? Stay until the end, because what is next is the most crucial thing you will hear about tonight. The biggest in Spanish football in decades. Hit subscribe if yet. Let's go. But before we get into the locker room, we must discuss the game, because what Spain did tonight deserves to be analyzed with the clarity. Every single one of these players deserves no rush, no shortcuts. One-on-one. Unai Simon, 0 goals conceded against the best attack in the world. France came into this match with 16 goals in 6 World Cup matches, the most lethal attack on paper this tournament. Mbappé, Dembélé lists 3 players who had caused chaos in every other match, with a consistency no other attack could match against Spain. 0 goals, 0 shots on target to put Unai in any real danger. The goalkeeper, with the longest clean sheet record in the history of the World Cup, extended that record tonight against the best attack in the tournament, a psycho in goal. Now Laporte, the best game by any defender in this World Cup, dominant from the very first minute, uncompromising in every duel, without a single slip-up for 90 minutes, anticipating every single French attack before it could turn into real danger. Every time France tried to penetrate the box, Laporte was there first like a wall no French forward could get past all night long. The best center back in the world tonight, no debate possible. 18-year-old Cubarsí pocketed Mbappé for 90 minutes every time the tournament's top scorer tried to turn receive facing away or find space inside the box. Cubarsí was there reading the play before it even happened, winning every duel without losing a single ball all night, and one stat sums it all up. Lamine now has 10 wins in 11 matches against Mbappé in league play in cups, Super Cups, and the Champions League, in the Nations League, the Euros, and now the World Cup. Cubarsí has never lost to Mbappé across the full 90 minutes tonight. At 18, absolute defensive dominance, and in attack, Pedro Porro has scored 2 goals in these World Cup knockouts. Cristiano Ronaldo, after 6 World Cups, has only 1 in his entire career. During the knockout stages, Izafolo is a fullback that requires no further comment. Cucurella was shown a highly unfair yellow card during the first half, which VAR overturned thanks to the assistant referee. The Spanish players applauded the correction, and Cucurella responded to that injustice by playing one of his best World Cup games, absolutely imperial. On the left flank for 90 minutes, Rodri, the best midfielder in the world, played his absolute best game of the tournament. He said so himself in the mixed zone, with the simplicity of knowing exactly what he accomplished today. We played our most complete match of the tournament, and he was right. Rodri was absolutely everywhere, recovering, distributing, and closing spaces, stepping up in the moments when the game needed someone to think faster than everyone else. Fabian was unshakable, right at Rodri's level, both forming the best midfield that Spain has fielded in this tournament. Both are indispensable, both untouchable. Fabian added that balance between defense and build-up, which makes the midfield of this Spanish team look so effortless to watch and so impossible for opponents to disrupt. By Enna did the Knights' most vital dirty work, the honor of doing what goes unseen, but without which nothing worked. The defensive coverage and winning the ball back under pressure, the vital support that lets Rodri and Fabian play with the sheer freedom they enjoyed all night. Incredible. Olmo, the unsung hero of the night, his entire World Cup run is meticulously analyzed, with pen, paper, toilet paper, and moisturizer nearby. The neat 1-2 with Porro for the second goal was a work of art, a swift first-time touch, precise and no look, trusting that Porro would be exactly where he needed to be. And Porro was right there, decisive in the biggest moment. Just like always in this tournament, Lamine. He vanished for long stretches of the match. But anyone saying tomorrow that he had a weak game simply has missed the point. Because Lamine showed up when it mattered. He won the penalty that broke the deadlock, beating Digne with the kind of acceleration nobody this tournament has managed to stop. Tonight, he added, yet another page to the most one-sided story in modern football. 11 matches against Mbappé, 10 wins, 1 defeat. The man the entire world considered the favorite for the Ballon d'Or, ousted from the World Cup, 10th time in 11 matches against the same player, absolute dominance. Then Oyarzabal, the clinical killer, ice cold right when the game needed him most, stepping up to the spot without his hands shaking, completely unfazed by the heavy pressure, showing the exact same calm he has brought to every crucial goal during this tournament. Goal, the man who appears when it matters, always, in every game, in every crucial moment. That is Spain, 11 players who did something tonight that very few teams in the history of football have ever done, humiliating France. No suffering, no nerves, with a total dominance that was never once called into question. Rodri and De La Fuente said it, and the final stats prove them right. The most complete match of the entire tournament, against the best attack in the tournament. 0 goals conceded. And now for the other side of the scoreboard. Because if Spain was absolutely brutal, France was the exact opposite. Mbappé not 1 shot on goal in 90 minutes. Top scorer of the tournament, the Ballon d'Or favorite. The player who, 5 days before, said he absolutely hates losing to Spain and that he would do whatever it takes to win. Without a single shot on target. Cubarsí pocketed him. Laporte did too. All of Spain stopped him. And the most brutal stat of the night, Kylian Mbappé had never been knocked out of a World Cup before. Undefeated in the knockout stages of every single World Cup he had ever actually played in. Until he went up against Lamine Yamal. That says it all about what actually went down on that pitch tonight. Dembélé, the 2025 Ballon d'Or, the single most important player on paper for this French squad. The winger who in the group stage and quarterfinals had been so crucial for France. But in tonight's decisive moments, 0 clear chances, 0 real danger. Not one moment where the best player in the world showed he actually deserved that title. When the stage is a World Cup semi-final, the Ballon d'Or vanished on the biggest night of the year. Olise made the starting 11 with high expectations to be one of the key players making a difference. For Francis, he contributed nothing. And in the 30th minute, did something that defines the French night perfectly. A hard tackle on Rodri that VAR reviewed without hesitation. He arrives way late and digs his studs right into the outside of Rodri's ankle, bending it a straight red. The referee missed it. But VAR, no VAR intervention. Luckily, Rodri stayed on the pitch. Because if Rodri had got hurt in that tackle, the game and the whole tournament would have been completely different. Rabiot was booked in the 15th minute after a foul on Lamine, then 2 more fouls at the 30-minute mark, identical to the one he had already been carded for. But the ref didn't show the second yellow. The ref let him slide, but Deschamps took no chances. At halftime, he subbed him off to avoid the red. That was just a matter of time, and France lost what little control they had in the center of midfield. The same Rabiot who just a week ago claimed there was no plan to stop Yamal, the same one, waiting a year for revenge since the Euros, out at halftime. Helpless to do anything. No revenge and no talking now. This time it meant a Deschamps with no ideas, no heart, no courage. Leaving Cherki on the bench as the match spun out of control. Never changing the system, even after Spain showed in the first 30 minutes They had a solution for everything France tried. No real answer to Spain's clear superiority. The single most successful manager in French football history, clueless against the best team in the World Cup, eliminated in the semifinals. Without his players creating a single clear chance, that was France tonight. And here is what no one is talking about. What went down after they closed that locker room door, what Mbappé snapped at three teammates with a raw fury that those same teammates describe as the most intense they have seen from him all tournament. Do you know the most critical part of all this? What comes next? Lucas Digne, 31 years old, left back for France. The guy who, in the 42nd minute, with the score at 0-0 and the game completely even, made the worst decision of the entire night. Lamine received the ball on the right wing, with space, with speed, with that explosive acceleration over those first few yards that no defender in the world has managed to stop consistently during this tournament. And Digne could not stop him either. Lamine blew right past him. He reached the goal line, and Digne, completely unable to catch up with him, brought him down the only way he had left. A blatant penalty, absolutely beyond any debate. The referee did not even need the VAR to point to the spot. Oyarzabal stepped right up, with nerves of steel, not letting the heavy moment faze him. Spain takes the lead, 1-0, a fatal mistake that permanently changed the game. Because at 0-0, the match had a different dynamic. But at 1-0, Spain took complete control, dominating every single minute left in the game. France could never dictate the tempo or their style again. Their attack was dead. All of that vanished with Digne's kick on Lamine. Inside the French locker room, sources say Mbappé lost his temper. Once the dressing room door closed at halftime, he threw a question into the air, and nobody had an answer. How do you let him beat you in a World Cup semifinal? How do you let an 18-year-old kid outplay you so easily in the biggest match of the year? Digne stayed silent. There is no valid excuse for letting Lamine breeze past you so effortlessly in the most critical match of the year. That silence was only the first of three Mbappé faced in that locker room tonight. But the second one was far more painful, because while Digne's mistake was just a single, momentary individual error, what followed next was something else entirely. It is the story of a player who entered this semifinal with the ultimate individual footballing honor practically in his hands and completely threw it away. Entirely. Ousmane Dembélé, 28, PSG winger and French national team star, the Ballon d'Or, 2025. The biggest individual honor in world football. The award proving that in that year, you are the best player on earth. That when the stage is big, you show up. When the match matters, you make the difference. And the player who tonight, in the World Cup semi-final, on the biggest stage there is in football, played the worst game of his life. 0 clear chances created. 0 real danger made. 0 moments where anyone seeing him for the first time tonight could possibly think he was the best in the world. Spain stripped him of the ball whenever he got close. Cucurella locked down the spaces inside with a consistency that was devastating. Laporte read and stopped every pass inside before it could become a threat. And when he tried to run deep, he found no space because the Spanish defense never gave him that second of advantage he needs to be dangerous. The Ballon d'Or winner on the biggest night of the year disappeared. He was not the best of France, not even second. He was never decisive during the match. He didn't create a single threat for Unai Simon. He did absolutely nothing that justifies having that trophy in his pocket. And according to sources close to the French dressing room, Mbappé went looking for him after the match with a message his teammates will not easily forget. If you are the Ballon d'Or, you have to show up in these games, not the easy ones, not against teams that don't know you, not in the group stage matches where the margin is wide and mistakes are forgiven, but in these, which decide if your team reaches the final of a World Cup or goes straight home with the flight back booked for this very night. Dembélé never showed, and Mbappé cannot understand it. Because Mbappé knows how to show up in big games. He knows how to carry the team on his back when the pressure is on. He knows how to score in a final of a World Cup when your team desperately needs someone to step up. And tonight, their Ballon d'Or wasn't there. The second silence, longer than Digne's and much more painful. And the third conversation of the night was the shortest of the three and the most brutal. Because the third involves someone who, just a week before, promised this time would be different. That this time, the pitch would prove him right once and for all. That this time, he'd be the one saying, "Speak now." Adrien Rabiot, 30, French team midfielder. The very same Rabiot a week prior claimed there was no anti-Yamal plan. This is the same player who spent a whole year waiting for revenge since Euro 2024. The same one Lamine humiliated with a wonder goal right in front of him and yelled "Speak now" at the camera after the match. But tonight, Rabiot got a yellow card in the 15th minute for a foul on Lamine. It wasn't a particularly harsh foul. It was the kind of foul you make when you just can't catch your opponent cleanly, and you have to stop them somehow. The ref saw it and showed the yellow, and play went on. But in the 30th minute, Rabiot committed two more fouls, identical to the first, the same challenge, just the same type of contact. It was the exact same way to stop his opponent, because the opponent's sheer speed and skill are just superior at that exact moment. But the ref didn't show the second yellow. The red card that should have come never did. Rabiot got lucky. But Deschamps didn't want to trust that luck for another 45 minutes. At halftime, he subbed Rabiot out. With that decision, France lost what little real balance they had left in the center of the pitch. Because despite his flaws, his errors, and all that intense pressure he piled on Lamine, which eventually got him booked, Rabiot was actually the only French player on the field showing any real intensity, any real character, or any drive to change the game through sheer physical presence and aggression in the duels. Without him, the second half was another story. Spain dominated without any real resistance, scoring to make it 2-0 in the 59th minute after an Olmo 1-2 that was pure art, and France had absolutely no answer for the entire match. According to close sources, inside the dressing room, Mbappé said nothing to Rabiot after the match. There was no need, because being subbed off at halftime was already the clearest message he could get. If you had controlled your tackles in those first 30 minutes, you could have stayed on the pitch in the second half to help change things. But you could not, and France paid the price. 3 players, 3 conversations, those 3 silences Mbappé found in that dressing room, and an elimination that none of them expected to experience tonight. Because this France arrived ranked number 1 in the world, with 16 goals in 6 matches, featuring Mbappé, Dembélé, and Olise, driven by revenge from the Euros, and with Emery telling Lamine that the match is played on the pitch, not in the media. And before wrapping this up, there is something we need to put into perspective. Because what Spain did on this night is not just a single result. It is the confirmation of something this generation has been building for years. And tonight, it found its most complete expression. Spain has won 9 of their last 10 semifinals in official competitions. 9 in the Euros 1964-84, 2008-12, 2024. 5 semifinals, 5 wins. In World Cups 2010, 1 semifinal, 1 victory in Nations. League 2021, 2023, and 2025. 3 semifinals, 3 victories. Their only defeat in 10 semifinals was in the 2021 Nations League. That is exactly what Lamine had in mind when he said before the match that there was a high chance his big game would be tonight. And it wasn't arrogance either. It was pure statistics. And tonight, those stats held true once more. Against France. Against the number 1 team in the world. Against the best attack of the tournament. With Mbappé, Dembélé, and Olise. 2-0, without sweating, without Unai Simon having to make a single real save. That is what Spain did tonight. And the streets know it. Because right now, as you watch this video, Spain's streets are absolutely packed. Barcelona, Madrid, Seville, Valencia, Bilbao, Zaragoza, every major city, every small town, every bar with a TV turned on, an entire country celebrating something that exactly 16 years ago they last felt. Qualifying for the final of a World Cup in 2010, Spain won the World Cup in South Africa after winning the Euros 2 years earlier in Austria and Switzerland. In 2024, Spain won the Euros in Germany. In 2026, Spain is in the World Cup final in the United States. The same story. Retreading the same old steps, 16 years later, even with completely different players. But with the same DNA, the same style, the same way of understanding football that Flick has managed to elevate to a whole new level. something that 12 months ago, very few would have predicted. And there is something tonight that is moving through social media with the speed of something touching a deep chord in everyone who sees it. On November 19th, 2025, Pedri posted on his Instagram story an image with a hidden number. July 19, 2026 is the date of the World Cup final. Pedri knew it. Back in November, he either dreamed it or simply believed. And tonight, his deep belief has finally become reality. Spain is in the final of the World Cup. And one last detail tied this night together in the most poetic way possible. Spain is the first team to start a World Cup semifinal with two teenagers, Kubarsi and Lamin, both 18 years old, in a World Cup semifinal against the best team in the world. On paper, winning 2-0 with Mbappé not even shooting on target. Two 18-year-old kids who have made history tonight in world football, proving that age simply does not matter when talent and hard work come together. The right way, they have shown that Spain has something no other team in the world has right now: a generation, not a star player, not a brilliant tactical system, not a charismatic manager, an entire generation of players, extraordinary talents who grew up together, knowing each other from the youth ranks, playing with a connection that just cannot be taught because it is built through years of working together. Kubarsi and Lamine in defense, and in attack, Pedri, Gabi, and Fermin in the midfield. Olarza Ali Banez showing up in the moments most critical, and Unai Simon behind them all, with the longest unbeaten streak in the history of World Cups. And absolutely no one can say he had an easy night, because easy nights do not exist in the World Cup. That is the Spain standing in the World Cup final tonight. And waiting for them, Argentina or England. Two massive teams. Two rivals who will present a brutal challenge, completely different to that of France. Argentina with Messi and his massive drive for back-to-back titles, with the experience of already winning the last World Cup under Scaloni, building the perfect team around the greatest player in history. Or England with Bellingham, with Kane, and with Saka, with a generation that has spent 10 long years promising they will win something major, and who in this tournament have gone further than any other since 1966. Either matchup is going to make a final more exciting than any football has produced in decades. But tonight, after what Spain did to France, look at what Kubarsi did to Mbappé. Think of what Lamine unleashed with his incredible speed and the way Rodri and Fabian dominated the center of the pitch. For 90 minutes, there is something that Spain's rivals should remember before that final kicks off. Spain has won an incredible 9 semifinals out of 10. They haven't conceded a single goal this entire World Cup. Plus, they have Oyarzabal on their side, the most lethal killer of the tournament, just waiting for the moment his team needs him most. And Spain also has two 18-year-old players who made history here tonight. Get ready. Get ready. Because this new Spanish generation has reached the grand final of the World Cup, and they did not come to lose. And Spain made them look completely ordinary, without a single shot on target from Mbappé, no threat from Dembélé, no impact from Olise, with Rabiot subbed off at halftime. Meanwhile, Porro, the defender with more knockout stage goals than Cristiano Ronaldo. After 6 World Cups, Spain is in the World Cup final. The streets are absolutely packed tonight. Barcelona, Madrid, Sevilla, Valencia, Bilbao, every city, every single town, an entire country united around a generation that won the Euros 2 years ago. And who tonight proved that victory was no fluke. This is a generation. This is a project, the absolute best team in the world, repeating the double of 2008 and 2010. The same story repeating with completely different players, but with that same fierce spirit. And there is something fans just noticed tonight, something that is currently blowing up online. On November 19th, 2025, Pedri posted a story, an image featuring a hidden code, the numbers 190726, July 19th, 2026, the final of the World Cup. Fluke or prophecy, that number has been right there for months. Spain is the first team in history to start a World Cup semifinal with 2 players under 20 in the starting 11. Cubas and Lamine, both just 18 years old, winning 2-0 in a World Cup semifinal, with Mbappé failing to shoot on target. In the final, Argentina or England awaits them. They better get ready, because if Spain played like this against the world #1 scoring 16 goals in 6 matches, What is coming in the final is going to be the biggest football spectacle we have seen in decades. Drop a comment below, is Mbappé actually right to blame Diagne, Dembélé, and Rabiot, or is the fault entirely on all of France? Can Spain win the final no matter who they face? And who was the best Spanish player on the pitch tonight for you? Hit like if you believe that Spain has the best team on the planet tonight. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and tap that notification bell. Mbappé leaves the locker room with 3 names in mind. Spain takes to the streets, an entire nation backing them. And the World Cup final awaits